Okay, I think we're recording now. Let me just make sure. Let's see. Yep, we are recording. That's good. Awesome. Amy also has the dial-in, so if she's having challenges, she was concerned she might have challenges tonight. So we'll see if she gets back in here. We'll give her a couple seconds to do that. Tonight is planning. So we did our SMART goals the last time we were together. And now it's about talking about planning and how to take your SMART goals and then plan for them to become reality. And so the application guide I sent to you all earlier today, I hope you got it. You maybe haven't had a chance to look at it, and that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you had it in your hands. So if you do want to grab it, you can have it in your hands for this call. It's not necessary. At the end of the call, like we always do in training, we'll look at the application guide too and just make sure everybody's comfortable with it and has any questions, okay? So let's get started. I'm just going to check my text to see if Amy texted me. Okay, I haven't heard anything, so I'm sure she's trying to get back in. But we'll get started, and we've got it recorded so she can catch what she missed. So the planning encompasses taking a look at the O in the Boss Life system. Remember, of course, B is belief, O is outreach, S and S are selling and support. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, outreach, and then we'll talk about how to plan to grow your team, grow your business, and how to utilize your time that you have devoted to Avon time most effectively. And then, what are the right balances of the different activities that you're going to put in place? What's urgent, but maybe not really important, but things are urgent and very important. So we'll take a look at that for Spectrum Quadrant. And then we'll talk about prioritizing. That's always the fun part of planning, because most of us probably sometimes we feel like our lists are longer than our day. And so that prioritizing really becomes an important piece. And then the action plan with the application guide and so on. So, there's two questions on the screen here. When you think about outreach, outreach is really how are you being the Avon businesswoman in your community, in your world, in your life, in your space, whatever however you want to say that. And so a couple things to think about is, who do I need to know to achieve my goals, right? And then the second piece is, what do I need to do to meet new people? So some of you have people within your team already that might be somebody that is impactful in helping you to achieve your goals. So that would be the who. And then some will, and actually everybody needs to always be looking for, who are those new people and where do I find them and where do I meet them? So that's all about outreach. So as you plan to grow your business and you plan to grow your team, who can you help be a boss themselves? So think about, who are your next team members that could be your next title advancement person, or who are your next team members who might start their leadership business? And then what representatives are your next leaders? So I kind of already said that. But as you look at your team, what are some of the things that you look for as you're looking at new team members?
I like to look for people that I enjoy being around.
That's a great thing to look for. Absolutely. It's much more fun that way, right?
Well, also, if I enjoy being around them, they're probably like me. And if they're like me, they're going to be good team members.
Okay.
But I'm biased.
And that's okay. You should be, right? Should be okay with that.
Right.
Other thoughts?
Well, I'm looking somebody who's looking to become part of the team
Mm-hmm.
who wants to get out and grow their business.
Mm-hmm. So you, Polly, you like to partner with people too. And so, going out with other people to grow their business and your business is always well, not always, but can be more fun for you when there's two instead of one.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Not necessarily, because I run into so many who just, want to be, they almost want to be dragged along, What can I do for them instead of what I can help them do?
Right. So you're looking for some people that are self-motivated, that once they've had the training, they will then go and put it into practice. They're motivated to do that. Right. They're kind of those self-starters, self-motivated. Okay, good. Fair enough. So let's talk a little bit more about how you can plan to connect with new people. And some of this you've talked about a little bit already. So when you think about meeting new people and outreach, there's different types of activities that you probably have done in the past that have been successful. So those are things that you could choose to repeat if you haven't done them for a while. And there's probably activities that maybe you could try that you haven't tried before. So when you look at this list, you can see there's some ideas here. Besides reflecting on your past success, well, let's talk about that. What is something that you've done in the past, or maybe you're doing it now, but definitely done it in the past and it worked for you, and so you try to repeat that behavior maybe every so often or every campaign, or maybe you're like, geez, I did that before, that worked, why don't I do that anymore? Any examples of that from either of you ladies?
I have an example. I used to have a lot of success prospecting on Facebook. And when they changed the groups from just like talk groups to sale groups, I don't know if my ads just weren't being, I don't know, my ads seemed to be getting lost or what. And I kind of just backed off. I was telling Lori the other day that I was probably a member of like 100 different groups, and I would track every time I posted on those groups. And I would go back and I would delete my old ads. I was a good neighbor, go back and delete. And I had a lot of success, made a lot of money that way. And I kind of got away from it. Possibly because it was very time consuming, but that's no excuse.
So you're going to incorporate that again?
I've been doing more one-on-one, face-to-face stuff lately. Although I do reach out on Facebook. And if someone's interested, they start off as a customer and then I try to recruit them from there. And I realize you should start off recruiting rather than the other way. But I'm taking what I can get at this moment in time, but I've been going more for face-to-face contacts rather than Facebook.
Okay. Fair enough. Yet you have success with it. So it's something that is in your portfolio. And if you chose to invest your time in that, it's something that you could do if you wanted to. But your choice today is trying some new face-to-face things, and those are starting to see what that looks like. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thanks. Others that have had some success, kind of reflect on your success of maybe some ways that you have built team members in the past that you're maybe doing today or you haven't done for a while. You're thinking, maybe I should bring that back. I don't know. Any other comments? Welcome back, Amy. We're recording.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think what's worked for me in the past is attending community events, job fairs or festivals. I've gotten quite a few new members to my team by going to those events. So I know that I need to get back out there and do that.
Was that something you enjoyed doing, Polly?
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I met quite a few new people, and it got me a lot of new contacts. Not only members to my team, but new customers.
Right.
So,
Great. Good. Awesome. All right. So Amy, anything that comes to your mind, something that you've done in the past that was really successful for driving team members, or not? I mean, it's okay if there's something you've done you haven't done for a while, or you're going to bring back to the table. Anything that jumps out at you, maybe from this page?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not that something that I'm gonna do real recent, no.
Yeah, nope, that's fair. And so I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to, think a little bit about what maybe you might have done in the past and what worked, and, is it something you want to bring back today and repeat, and maybe not. Maybe you want to try some of the other ideas listed on this sheet that you see here. Top customers, your customers are really part of your warm market list. They may at some point in time have said no thank you to the opportunity. However, revisiting that with them is a smart thing to do, because you want them to say yes to you rather than contact Avon. And sometimes I know people have always felt like, well, of course my customer will come to me. And you know what? You're probably 99% accurate on that. But once in a while, they don't. They go somewhere else, not because they don't like you, but just because even though you had to buy or sell or to earn with Avon and recruiting flyers and all those things, and you think, how could they miss this, right? But it can. So it's something to think about. And in fact, in the Journey to Bronze Ambassador class, the 4-week class that we work with promoters and star promoters with, that's part of one of the lessons is, having that conversation with your customer and saying, hey, I haven't shared this with you in a while, but, you could earn with this order, or I can place it for you like I normally do. And, they'll say, what are you talking about, maybe, or they'll already know what you're talking about. And then you can just say, well, this is a pretty darn big order, and you're giving me, and I love your orders. Believe me, I don't want to lose you as a customer. I just want you to know that, I teach people how to earn with Avon too. And I partner with people to be successful. And I just want to offer that to you like I do to other people. And, more times than not, they're probably going to stay your customer. However, once in a while, somebody might say, you know what, things have really changed for me, and blah, 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 blah. This might work out really well for me today. So think about that as part of your warm market list. Of course, your personal network, like your family, friends, and people you know. I know all 3 of you ladies have worked your warm market list at one time or another, and you've probably reworked your warm market list. However, if it's something that, you're not revisiting from time to time, it definitely can be an opportunity for some outreach and some connections, and possibly even some referrals. Yes, Kelly.
Well, you ladies remember that I did that post on Facebook where I had a sample bundle that for anybody that responded with their favorite product, I would give a sample bundle to. I had 24 responses to that, and now at least half of them have placed an order.
Wow.
And that's kind of made them more my warm market. Obviously, I'm still in the process of getting sample bundles out to about 5 or 6 of them. But I'm back in, and I'm in the process of following with the ones who've received the sample bundles and collecting orders. And then now following up with them after they've had their first order. I have an opportunity meeting scheduled tomorrow, and one of my new customers is coming. Actually, two of my customers are coming. One of them has two prospects, neither of whom can attend tomorrow. But the first one that I reached out to actually is already in the direct sales business. And so she's familiar with, the process of being in direct sales. And I just wanted to mention to you that a lot of times, just because someone's already in a direct sales business does not mean that they're done looking. Avon was my 6th or 7th direct sales opportunity in my adult years. I'll not say how many that's been. But anyway, I know a lot of people who are in more than one direct marketing business, and some of them, they do just like me. I'm a what is it? doTERRA? No, not doTERRA. Young Living, because I get the essential oils at wholesale instead of paying retail for them. Mm-hmm. So I'm in it, but I don't do it, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people get involved with other businesses just to get a discount on those products. So it's nice to at least consider them too. Like I said, they already know about being a business opportunity, and when you start telling them they can make up to 50% earnings and they get bonuses for recruiting, I mean, it's just amazing. So it's going to be a lot of fun talking to this young lady tomorrow. For both of them.
That's a really good return on your investment. So out of 24 contacts, 50% have come back to be customers. That's a really good return. Yeah. That's a really good return.
Yeah. I expect more because, I mean, they had to tell me what their favorite Avon product was to get a sample bundle in the first place. So they're obviously Avon fans.
Yeah.
One of them even told me she hadn't had a representative in years. So naturally, I'm going to gravitate towards offering her the opportunity, and then she can be the Avon representative in her community.
So, I mean, what a great way to outreach, starting with a good question in social media that grabbed people's attention, rewarding the behavior. Then you took the next step, Kelly, is setting the opportunity meeting. We're going to talk about that kind of at the close tonight too. So if I don't come back to it, somebody remind me, because it's kind of an add-on that I put into this. But we're going to talk about how that opportunity meeting was sort of a natural progression of what you had already done. You're building. So you started here, then you put another layer on it and another layer on it, and how that can duplicate itself. So really good example, really good example.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Polly, I know when you did lots of events in the past, has anybody else, Polly or Amy, has anybody else ever had somebody from another direct sales company approach you to be, part of their company, or have you ever approached them to be part of their company?
Well, I've had other companies approach me. I've had a Tupperware gal. I've had a gal from Arbonne approach me. So, yeah. And I've turned around and asked them, if they'd like to sell Avon. So
Right. And sometimes they do. We know people have their hands in a lot of different pots, so it's not uncommon. I was talking to one of your peer leaders that I won't mention names, but who did an event this weekend, and one of her strategies when she does events, and I've seen other people do this in the room too, but one of her strategies at events is she'll go and talk to every other table at the event as well and get to know all the vendors there, whether they're direct selling vendors or something else, if it's a health fair, whatever it might be. And then just introduce yourself of who you are and make connections that way. And that's another way that you can be building your warm list as well from community events. So you can see a lot of the ideas on the screen. Some have worked well for some of you, as you've shared. Some you haven't tried yet. So maybe there's some things that might end up on your planning, on your calendar, based on our discussion tonight. So before we get into that, as you think about your team that you have right now, and some of them they're not leaders yet, okay? But if you look at your team and you start to think about who are the potential leaders on my team, who do I see that is motivated, and who do I see that's successful with sales? And so as you look at this chart, you can see motivation on the left-hand side, sales success on the bottom, and where the person that's your star is really probably the person which, you know, their highest potential, you have an easier opportunity to influence them to earn more with their business through leadership. And so it's going to be the person that's highly motivated and highly successful with their sales, or even if they're new, they're showing behaviors in the kickstart, and they're growing consistently. So you can see on the screen what the definition of motivation might be. Somebody in your team who has the passion. Kelly, you said it earlier. Amy was bumped out for a minute, but somebody that's like me, you know, because I know I'm passionate, I'm driven, and if I find somebody like me, I know I can definitely work with them. And that's true. They're coachable, they participate, they're positive, they like to help others. Those are some qualities of a leader. And then success would be somebody that knows how to grow sales, places orders, pays on time, many customers, and leverages Avon tools. So this is kind of a no-brainer. You guys know this already. But maybe there's some things that you look for that aren't on this screen. Now, Kelly already said somebody like me. Is there anything else that's important to you when you're identifying potential leaders? Holly said somebody that is motivated to do it, right? Not ask me to do it for them. Excuse me, I interrupted.
I was just going to say, one thing I look for is on the list, and it's being coachable. Somebody needs to, I believe, in order to grow and work well with others, they need to be coachable and teachable. If they're not willing to receive from you, then they're just kind of going rogue and trying to reinvent the wheel, and they're going to be struggling against themselves.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Polly, were you going to say something?
No,
Oh.
it was there, but it was gone.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one that happens to. Okay. And, you know, and to that point, Kelly, you know, I love that point, because coaching is coaching. Coaching is not, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's not telling somebody what to do. Coaching is about helping somebody self-discover and then helping them to really self-solve and bring out the best in them. And that's really what coaching is. So sometimes you might find that some people don't really know the true definition of coaching too. Some people might think that coaching is telling and criticism, and maybe they've had something that has that belief window in their head. So I agree with you. Coaching is really important, and I think it's important for them to understand what true coaching is too, and you guys can bring that to them. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about how much time you're dedicating to your Avon business, or you can dedicate to your Avon business. So, you know, all of you, or not all of you, Polly and Amy both work your Avon full time, but you have other things in your life going on, right? Fair? You've got a life, right? You have a lot of other things that you do. And Kelly, you've got some other income earning opportunities with jobs and Avon as well. And then you've got a lot of other obligations as well. So, you know, it's really important as you look at your goals, look at your planning, as we start to do this planning to obtain your goals, reach your goals, is like, be realistic of how much time do I have to give to the business and give to the activities that I want to put on my calendar. And so, you know, some leaders work 2 to 3 hours a day on their Avon business, and they do it in the evening because they've got a 9 to 5 job, right? Or they, you know, maneuver things around weekends. And then there's others who are full-time and they work 5 to 6 hours a day, 25, 30 hours a week. It's really up to you to decide as an independent business contractor, you know, what it is you want to invest in time. And is there something you're going to juggle? You know, sometimes the goal might be a goal that is going to, it's going to need more of your time. And so then how do you maneuver that, right? How do you balance that with your personal life as well as the other responsibilities on your calendar? So it really is a balancing act when you think about time first. I mean, it's reality. It's reality, but it can be a balancing act as well if you've got some flexibility. But where the balancing comes in even more so is in your activities. And so this is talking about making the most of the time you have. So whether it's 10 hours a week, 40 hours a week, whatever the time might be, you want to make sure that you're making the most of that time and that your activities are balanced towards your goals. So this is kind of a rule of thumb for right balance, regardless of how much time you have on the clock, is about 50 to 75% of your time is to focus on your personal business. 25 to 50% on leading your team. And then it's important to remember when you think about your personal business is that you're dividing your selling time equally between selling the opportunity, which of course we call recruiting, prospecting, and selling products. And you know, it doesn't have to be an either or, right? Because like we've talked about in the conversations that you're having, if you go back to conversational selling, right? You're having conversations with people, whether they're people you know, you're at events, whatever it might be. And it's not that it's an either or, it's a which one works best for you, right? And so when you're always keeping that in your mind of which one works best for you, it makes it more integrated for you. So you don't have to feel like, okay, you know, now I've got to go spend this much time on the opportunity, this much time on products. Yes, perhaps, but you can find ways to blend them together is what I'm trying to say. So then when you break this down, you can see on the screen, it's a little hard to see. I'm sorry, it's a little bit small, but you can see that your personal time are the 3 columns and your team time is the last column. So the personal time incorporates planning, selling, and managing. Okay, so when you look at the planning, it's setting goals, creating strategies, prioritizing, activity planning, meeting planning, event planning, if those are part of your high priority activities that are going to help you reach your goals, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. What falls under personal is in selling is networking, attending events, conducting fundraisers, product focus, and there's a list of things there that go with product focus, like talking to potential and future customers. I can't even see that. I got to go like this. Distributing brochures, special selling activities, maybe you're doing, or social selling activities, doing something online within policy. And then what's that last one there? Upselling. So also in selling, opportunity focus. So it does break it down into a definition of what the selling is for those 2 areas. And then managing is all about onboarding new representatives. So this is, you know, managing, which somebody would say that kind of falls into team. And I think it does. I would agree with you on that. Running regular meetings, recording reports or reading reports, important, spending your time on Vibe, looking at your action items, placing orders, delivering orders, and team communications is part of managing, and responding to customer requests is part of managing. And then leading, when you look at the leading column, leading is conducting coaching conversations with your downline. Motivating them to success, modeling success for them, show them what success looks like, real plain words to use, those types of things, conducting trainings, and then the last one is sharing best practices, which is pretty much like modeling. But sharing best practices, I guess, could be something like somebody's struggling with something and you know that the answer is in Avon U. You could say to them, you know, why don't you check out that training in Avon University? Send me a text when you got it done, and then we can talk about what questions you might have, which is a little bit different than saying, here's the answers to all your questions. And I hope you can hear the difference in that, because that really is a leading behavior where you're inviting somebody to take ownership, and you know, you've given them direction of where they can find it. It's right here. Take a look at that. When can you do that? Great. Then when you're done, let me know and we'll talk again about it, and I'll answer any questions you might have. That's an empowering coaching conversation versus giving everybody all the answers. Help them to self-solve as well. What happens when people self-solve? What happens when somebody figures out the answer?
I'm sorry, I said something, but I was on mute. I think we learn better that way when we experience it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Experiential learning, yeah.
Builds your confidence.
Absolutely, it boosts your confidence. I mean, how do you feel when you figure something out for yourself? Oh my gosh, I feel like Wonder Woman when I figure it out for myself, especially if I'm really like struggling with it and I really don't want to figure it out for myself. I just really, just tell me, please, just tell me, right? But yet, I can figure it out for myself. I just feel really confident too when that happens, Amy. So I would agree with that. Definitely. Holly, what do you think? Holly? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I think when we learn to work it out ourselves too, you know, when we're enabled
You broke up,
to
Holly.
learn it. Sorry, my phone just crackled. But when we're enabled to do it ourselves, we have more power, and it stays with us longer.
That's another benefit. It does stay with you longer. That is definitely another benefit proven from that as well. So, and you're going to also then do that same behavior with your, when somebody does that with you and you self-solve, you'll do that same behavior with somebody on your team. You'll help them to self-solve too, because you know the benefits of it. So awesome. Very good. All right. So let's talk a little bit about activities and tasks. So when you think about these 4 areas of selling, managing, leading, and I can't see the last one, and planning. When you think about these 4 areas that we just went over, activities are things like you saw on the last screen, and then the tasks are, now how do I make that real? So an activity is, I'm going to have an opportunity meeting on tomorrow night, like Kelly's having, and that's my activity. So what are the tasks that you had to put in place, Kelly, to make that happen?
One of them was print off some paperwork. I wanted to have physical, I like paper. I have a real paper problem too, but I like to have something tangible to go through with someone when I'm meeting face to face with them. I mean, I will have my iPad along too, so that I can pull on youravon.com. Because I was unable to do some of the things in print. I couldn't get copies of the Kickstart program, for example. But anyway, yeah, I actually sent out quite a few text messages. I invited 6 people to come. I got paperwork together. I'm taking an Avon order to one of the guests because she's a customer who is interested in the opportunity. So yeah, there's definitely some tasks that need to be done in order to do this larger activity.
Right.
I got to have some finances too, because I'm buying coffee and dessert.
There you go. So, your action items are the things that you put on your calendar, and then the tasks are those pieces that make the action item all come together. And so it's important to kind of differentiate between the two, because sometimes people may think tasks are actually the action item, but there is definitely a difference between the two. So let's kind of put this all together, if you will, and think about how you can take control by taking the right actions. Because there's a lot of things on the to-do list, right? And they're all important to some degree. Some are more important than others. And again, remember, you've got to go back to, what is my goal? What is it that I really want to happen in the next 30 days, 60 days, half a year, end of year, whatever that might be. And what do I need to get done first to get there, quite frankly. So there's this quadrant that you see on the screen of things for a campaign is the example here. So you've got some things that are not urgent and urgent, and then you've got on the left-hand side less important and important. And so this is something for you to think about and do, and you'll get to practice this actually with your application guide, is as you start to create a calendar, first knowing how much time you can devote, second, knowing how that time plots on the calendar, Monday through Friday, or however you want to manage that. And then the next thing is, what are, some people call them the big rocks? What are the activities that are going on the calendar? And then the task kind of comes after that. Once I've got the activities, then the tasks of what I have to do to make this activity happen, right? So this gives you some examples of this, and then it also gives you some action items. So you can also see here the words schedule, focus, cluster, delegate if possible. So let's talk a little bit about what that means, okay? So the example on the left in the not urgent, not important, this is some example of attend networking and recruiting events. It's important, right? It's really important. Is it urgent for this particular campaign? It might be, but maybe not. Maybe it's something that I can schedule, so I will have it on my calendar maybe in 2 weeks, because this campaign I've got to focus on a couple other things, but I want to do this, so I'm going to schedule this, identify a convenient time in the future to complete this task. And some of these tasks, for example, like this one, the team meeting is another great example. These might be some activities that you decide are going to help you to reach your goal. Because if you're looking for growth, attending networking and recruiting events is a way to find more people, right? Paula, you were talking about that earlier. So it's not that you don't want to do it, but it might not be as urgent as some of the things that you see in the urgent box for that particular campaign. So maybe I'm going to schedule this once a campaign. Maybe I'm going to schedule it once a month, whatever. But that's something that you might look at as kind of a cadence type of action item activity on your calendar. So hold coaching conversations with downline. Is it urgent? Maybe, maybe not. It's definitely important, but it would really depend on what is the content of that coaching conversation. If you've got somebody that's earning in the Kickstart, and in that campaign, they've got a target to make, that might be a quick coaching conversation with them. That might actually be urgent. So it really kind of does depend on the situation as well. Below urgent, on the bottom in the less important, these are, if something falls in this quadrant on your calendar, and remember, all of yours are individuals. They're not all are the same. So if something falls in this less important, like send team newsletter, train your downline on products, reorganize files on your computer, these are less important, perhaps, to reach your goal, okay, perhaps. And if you can delegate these, oh, how wonderful would that be, right? If you had somebody to delegate those to. I know some people have family members that, children or different people in their life that they're able to delegate things to. And sometimes it can be something that you could delegate to a team member. I think about, and maybe not today, but if you've been doing some training on skincare every 2 weeks, it's been on your calendar, and the people that are showing up every 2 weeks, they kind of show up a lot, right? They're people on your team maybe, and they're showing up a lot, and they've maybe been to a couple of them, and you're like, Sally, you've been to a couple of my trainings on skincare. Wow, this is awesome. You're becoming an expert. How about you do the next one for the team? Maybe she will, right? You never know. So there's things that sometimes maybe we can delegate, and it's a great opportunity, some of those responsibilities that you might normally do to support the team, for somebody on your team to practice themselves. So something to think about. On the bottom right-hand corner, where it says less important, but those things are they feel urgent, okay? Things like respond to a customer complaint. That's urgent, right? You don't want unhappy customers. Place and deliver orders. Hello, got to get paid, right? Answer questions from your downline. I mean, these are all really urgent things to do, right? So why it says cluster there is these are the things, think about those little things or big things that you're really focused on doing something that's in the urgent column, and then those things just like the phone rings, right? Or you get a beep from the email, and it's like, it's important. It's a customer complaint. So what if you, on your calendar, had I'll use the example of answer questions from your downline. What if once a week or twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, you had Amy Talks. I don't know. That's a bad name, Amy, but not your name, Amy, but that's a bad title. But Amy Talks, talk with Amy, right? And so every Tuesday and Thursday, Amy's got in her calendar, she's devoted 1 hour over the lunch hour, lunch with Amy, right? From 12 to 1, she's open, her lines are open to take calls from her team members. Now that doesn't mean that your team members can't connect with you other times, but this might help some of those things that kind of pop up, like popcorn, and you're trying to do some other things, that if you can cluster some of these things that are urgent, but they're on your calendar in this time frame, so something to think about, because they can really be some things like that can be really, even like deliver products. You guys have done this for a million years. So, I mean, you've got a cadence of where you're going, how you're delivering, and you're integrating other things into that. So you probably already have that clustered out pretty well. But if you don't, it's something to think about. Is there a more efficient way for me to do this urgent thing and not suck up as much of my time? And then the top right hand one is urgent, and, sales calls to customers, following up with people, coaching leaders with a title at risk. That's kind of urgent. They're going to lose title. Or like I said earlier, somebody that's in their kickstart, kind of keeping an eye with them, not for them, but with them. And, just noticing, hey, Susie, man, your goal this time was 200. You're where you at? It looks like you just placed an order for 195. Do you realize $5 more than you would have made 40% instead of 30%? Those types of conversations are important, and that's going to impact their earnings, and it's going to impact your earnings as well. Same thing with no orders. So these are all things that you are part of your focus each and every campaign. Anything else you can think of that would fit in here, or anything else you want to discuss or disagree with? I mean, I think this is different for everybody, really. But the main idea is to just look at what it is, what are the activities, the actions on your calendar, and ensure that within the time constraint that you have, that you're prioritizing the right stuff to help you reach your goals, is really the bottom line. Make sense? Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was making a list of things activities that I pretty much typically do over the course of a 2-week period of time. And one of the things that I thought of was posting on social media. And I love the new social media, Avon Social, where you can actually post out a month in advance if you want to take the time to do that. That's what I was doing at 12 o'clock this morning when I couldn't sleep. I'm posting on social media. I love that it can be scheduled. But you were talking about the rocks. We got these rocks, these ironclad things that go in our schedule, like a meeting or church or school or a job. Get those on your planner. And then I work in, if I have catalogs to label, I put my planner. If I've got office time I need to spend, I put that in my planner. If I need to color my hair, which I don't do anymore, that goes on my planner. Even the dishes and dinner go in my planner, because I those are things that I want in there, and I highlight each one with a different color as far as what whether it's personal or job related or Avon related. And I check things off as I get them done too. I love watching the things get done. Anyway, I'm rambling now, but definitely getting those activities into the planner and setting aside office time or prospecting time, or time out in the field where you're meeting people, and I like to do that when I'm running my errands. I'll get my makeup on, do my hair, get dressed nicely, and then I run my errands. And while I'm running my errands, I'm also prospecting and reaching out. So making those connections.
Great examples. Thank you. Other thoughts?
I think I agree with Kelly. I think it helps to write things down and to make sure that it's there, and the idea of crossing it off and make sure it's complete really helps. So, like it says, it helps to schedule, it helps to focus, and it helps to get those items down. In planning your schedule, it just makes it go that much smoother.
Yeah. How this planning goes, when you think about, and when you do your application guide, it really goes in the same sequence kind of that we're talking about, is identifying the amount of time you have first, and then, doing this type of analysis. And when you look at this urgent, not urgent, important, less important, does anything kind of like aha, or you're like, I'm doing that, oh, I need to start doing that, or any other aha moments that jump out here for anybody? I don't want to beat a dead horse, but okay, it's all right. So as you're doing your application guide, this will be kind of a framework for you. So when I send you the recording, I'm actually going to send you these slides too, so you have them to kind of look over again if you need to, kind of for a little review. The other thing to think about with regards to planning and doing your action items too, but especially planning is, and you guys all know this, is set yourself up for success by managing distractions, right? And I kind of talked about that a little bit with the clutter piece of it, but focus on what is important, what is urgent. That's your first things first. And it's okay to not be available all the time, right? So setting those office hours sometimes is a good thing to do. You guys have seen, I think if you reach out to me and I'm on vacation, you probably get an I'm out of office message, right? And that's just my way of letting you know that I may not get back to you as soon as I would if I was in office. So you have the opportunity to do those same types of behaviors as a business owner and make it work for you. So that's important. So here's the 2-week calendar example. And this is showing Monday through Friday. You decide what you want to do with Saturday and Sunday, but this is a Monday through Friday calendar. And it's just giving some of the action items that might be on the calendar. And it gives you also, there's some questions here. Does my calendar reflect the right balance of activities and tasks to achieve my short-term and my long-term goals? So as you're working on your application guide and you're putting together your calendar, feel free to put your personal big rocks in there if you want. I mean, if you don't want me to, that's fine too. Just put personal time is good enough. But put that in there and then put your Avon work around that. And as you're putting things down, I invite you to be very mindful of, is this the activity that's going to reach my goals that I have for myself? Am I planning to be busy or productive? That's a good one. I ask myself that coaching question from time to time. And I say, Lori, is this producing the results that I need to produce today? And when I've asked myself that question, I have actually taken some things off my calendar and I've maybe switched some things around. So I think even, people that make those plans, it's good to check in to see, am I really being productive or am I just doing busy work? And I can say sometimes I can just be busy work if I'm not careful. Another one is I've learned the hard way is to delegate. I was never a really good delegator, but I'm much better at delegating today than I was yesterday. Did I make time for handling and clustering things like we talked about? And am I setting proper boundaries to be effective with my time? Very, very important. So the application guide, I'm going to come back to that as we close out, but this is one of the things, a tool. It's actually a calculator taken from the Path to Bronze Leader. So when I meet with you guys one-on-one on our next coaching calls as we go through this planning deck, I'm going to also use this little calculator because I think it's really incredibly helpful. It's talking about what's your next goal, whether it's for many of you, some have said, I want to move my title up, not only in leadership, but also sales. And so we can figure out, this one's for team, but we can figure out what you need, how many actual new team members you'll need to reach your new title goal that you desire to have to reach your goal for earnings in your pocket. So we'll play around with this on our one-on-one coaching calls, and I'll show you where you can find an actual version of this that is an editable version. So you could do this with anybody on your team too. You could plunk their numbers in and show them what they need to do to make it happen. So we'll do that on one-on-one. The hot topic question, should you guys decide to talk about it next time, is share an experience in your past when you got lost. Explain how it made you feel and how you overcame it. So that's an interesting one, right? Let me just bring up really quickly, and I think we'll close it out. Here it is. So this is the application guide. And so this is who might be interested in joining Avon. Okay. You've done some of this already from conversational selling. The second part is, what are the activities? So here's who I think I already have maybe on my warm list, or I maybe haven't talked to them yet, but I'm going to. Here's some activities to find new team members. We talked about that. Who on my team is a potential leader?
Yes.
Well, Polly, we can
Hi,
hear your
Sandy.
conversation.
I'm good. How are you?
Let me see if this will work. Did that work? I think I muted Polly. Okay. And then this is the next section is how much time are you committing to your business? It's your number. There's no judgment here. And then this one is balance activities. So remember that section where we talked about planning, selling products, selling opportunities, managing and leading, that breakdown. That's why I'm going to send you the deck again too, so you can see it. So what is your percentage? And both of these should equal 100%. And then here's the urgent, not urgent examples. And what does that look like for you? What's your task list look like in a campaign? And what quadrant does it go into? And then we can talk a little bit about that on our one-on-one. That'll be interesting, because then we'll identify, is there something you can schedule, delegate? You're going to focus on that, and maybe you're going to cluster something. And then that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. Then here's your 2-week calendar. So again, big rocks, big actions. You don't have to list all your tasks. We can talk about that. If you say something and I'm not sure what you're talking about, I'll just ask you, what does that mean? You know me, I'll ask you that. Okay, so that's that. Wow, I can't believe it. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. Look at that, right on time today. Woo! All right, everybody. If you have any questions about something, because I know we didn't have time for Q&A here, there was quite a bit to talk about in this training. Feel free to send me a text or an email. I'm going to be on another training in about a half hour, so I won't be able to take any calls tonight, but feel free to reach out to me tomorrow or later, and I will get back to you. And this playback link is going to work this time. I know it, right? All right. See you later. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.